Good morning, guys and girls. Hope everyone's doing well. A cup of tea. I just wanted to show you something today before I set off on my ride. I spoke to Damo about this a little while ago. We had a little dialogue about it, and I'd ordered something for the bike, which I was going to buy the model that was available at the time, but there was a new model coming out, so that came out and I ordered it and it's arrived and we fitted it to the bike. So I just wanted to show you something, so let's take a look. So guys, what we're looking at is this new crankset. This is a crankset by a Spanish company called ROTOR, and this is their 2-in power, so twin power if you like, 2-in power, twin power. And this is not only a much lighter crankset, it's actually a power meter. So built into the bottom bracket, which is inside here, the part that goes through from one crank to the other. Normally you just have like basically a glorified bearing in there with a shaft, 2 bearings either side, and then a bottom bracket. In this one, this is actually like a mini computer if you like, and that is a power meter. So it is tracking in real time the force that you are putting down on these pedals. Now if you can notice in here, there's actually there's a center part and there's 2 other parts to this, each crank on the other side. I'll show you the other side in a moment. And basically the deflection in this is measured by the computer inside. So it knows how hard you're pushing down when you push down on the pedal, and it also knows how hard you're pulling up on the pedal. Because if you remember, like Don Snow showed you, we've got these pedals that have got the clip system. So we clip in with our feet, and the clip goes into here, and we can twist out when we want to come out. But we go in and we click in on the spring tension here. So both sides have a spring tension, and you set the spring tension on this grub screw how you want it, how tight or how loose. And so we're pulling up on this side and then we're pushing down. Also, you'll notice that the rings on this are not round. They're more of an egg shape. You see how that is actually oval. It's not actually oval, but it's a difficult geometric shape to describe. It's like a squashed circle. Now what that means is, I'll come back a little bit here, with the pedal stroke, when you go round, the part where you deliver your power, I'm talking about on this side, which is my right leg, is really from here, as you start to come over the top, and down. So as you go down here, your muscles are driving that pedal down. So if you notice the shape of the ring, that's where you're getting the power. And then in this part, which is like the dead part, where you're coming across the bottom, and on the other side you're going across the top, it's been squashed, so it's made it easier. In effect, it's made this ring smaller as you come through the bottom and as you go over the top. The ring is smaller, and then as you come up, obviously now on the other side I'm going to start to drive, because I'm going to have my power from my leg on the other side, and again we come into that area where it's actually bigger. So the chain is now on this bigger radius, so we're back to the actual size of the ring. So easier over the top, harder as you come down. Easier over the top, harder as you come down. So what this does is it makes it, you come through what's called like a dead spot. The dead spot is here when you're going from bottom to top on either side, or bottom to top on this side, so bottom top, that dead spot goes through quicker because you've got less resistance. and then you're back into your power stroke again. So it's like, if you imagine looking at any kind of engine where it has that effect of going over the top, like a cam effect of going over the top. So if there's a piston going up and down and you've got a cam on the top which is going over, up and down, it's making that peak easier. So it's driving easier. So what does this mean? It means that we've got power now in real time. Before, for all my power calculations, we were using an algorithm on an app, which was great, but not perfect. You know, it's an estimation, and that's measuring every 3 seconds. But this, it actually measures, depending on how fast your cranks are going around, but basically it's multiple times per second, around about 60 times per second. Can go down to as low as 20 times, but it's around 60 times a second. So we don't need that kind of measurement, but basically every second you've got a measurement of power, so you know in real time what your power is. So we know what the power is when I'm pulling up on the pedal like this. We know what the power is pushing down on the pedal like this. Hello, Mats. Hello, Mats. You come to see? You come to see what's happening? Yes. Have you come to see? Good boy. Muttley wanted to have a chat with you. And then on this side is exactly the same, of course. A lot of power systems, a lot of power measuring systems, only work on one side, and then they calculate between the power that's going on one side, and they calculate what you're putting out across the two sides. But this has exactly the same measuring system in this side. That's why it's called the two-in power or twin power, because there's another one which only works on one side, but this new one is the two-in power, and this is called the DM system, which I don't think you'll be able to see because it's mounted on. I should have brought a chainring up. What I'll do is I'll pop a photo of a chainring in, because I've got, this is a 32 tooth chainring that I've got on here now, but I've also got a 34, because as my legs get stronger I'll change from the 32 up to a 34 when I'm able to drive that really hard. But basically inside here where this mounts, normally on a bicycle you have a thing called a spider, and the spider comes off here and it comes up in either 4 or 5 little studs, and then the chainring fits onto that with bolts. But this DM system, direct mount system, mounts directly onto the axle behind here, and that means that it's incrementally movable, so you can adjust it round or round to get the shape of this ring in exactly the right place for your legs, the way that your legs work as you come over. I don't know if you can see in there, there's a little inside the crank arm there's a little graded part on the ring, so that's showing you a little bit of what we're talking about. It's quite hard to show you with it on the bike, but it's there, just in there on the ring. So now, previously on the older model you could only adjust this by quite large amounts, but now because it's on this spline inside here you can just move it around exactly where you want it, so that you engage the power where you want and you release the power where you want, depending on your legs. So what we've got is we've got real-time power measurement, we've got power measurement for each leg, and we've got the ability to measure the smoothness of your pedal stroke, and you've got the ability to tweak this ring to be exactly right for your legs on the system. So quite a lot going on there. Now ordinarily you'd have this on your phone because you can mount the phone on the bike and you can see it, of course. And I've got a mount which, well, I've got my computer on here today, but I've also got a mount that goes on there that takes my phone, so I can put my phone on there. But to show you guys this morning, I've put this app onto the iPad. And I am going to take this iPad with me this morning because I've got a problem with my phone at the moment. I'm having to change my phone today. But excuse me. So I just wanted to show you this. So on the app, which I hope you can see okay. Let's go. You're going to get a reflection of me however I do it, I think. We've got all sorts of different things, but what I wanted to really show you, the ride is just if you want to go out riding. Training is if you want to use this app for training. But if we go into Talk 360, now here you see we've got time, we've got the balance between my right and my left leg, we've got the power that we're putting out, the cadence, because now we don't need a separate cadence measurer. This will measure the RPM for us. Heart rate, so this connects to my heart rate monitor. And then this OCA degrees and OCP degrees is related to the correct degrees here for the crank. So that's telling me, OCA is telling me where I develop the most power, and OCP will tell me the correct position for the ring based on where my legs put out the most power, whether I need to adjust it. It's in position 3 at the moment, and then I'll be able to adjust that depending on what the OCP says after my rides. And then here in this, if you can see this graph here at the bottom, this is going to give us a graph of my pedal stroke. So it will actually record my pedal stroke and it will place it on this graph. And that also, it measures the torque, so it measures the Newton meters torque that you're putting out, but it also measures where you put it out, and helps with this calculation here of the OCA and OCP. So it's quite a comprehensive tool to show you not only what power you're putting out, it shows you if your right leg is stronger than your left leg, or your left leg is stronger than your right leg, and you need to train that. And it shows you how your pedal stroke is in terms of smoothness, pushing and pulling. So when my left leg is pushing, my right leg should be pulling on the pedal. So it shows you how smooth you are with that. And it really helps, excuse me, when you try and do like high cadence, when you're trying to do high RPM, you can easily lose the smoothness of your pedal stroke because you tend to bounce a little bit. So it can really help with that. So this information will be very, very useful, and we're adding this to our training tools. And then I'll just show you the other ones. Let's exit this. And then we've got basic training, which is, this is more showing you once you're actually training, obviously the duration you've been training, your heart rate, you can see I'm connected to it now, your power, your cadence, the balance, your torque effectiveness in percentage, and your pedal smoothness, and it gives you a graphical representation of that in real time here. So as you're pedaling, you can see graphically how your output is working. So this is to train yourself to pedal more effectively and efficiently. It's not training going out on a ride and you know, testing yourself on a ride in terms of training. It's training your legs, it's training your pedal stroke. So that's what this is for. It's for training your legs, basic training of your legs. And then the other one, just come out of this, the ride one, is what you would have on a conventional ride. So at the top, power, because of course for this app it's the most important thing, the power, cadence, right left balance, your OCA degrees and your OCP average, your torque effectiveness and your pedal smoothness, the distance you've travelled and the speed, kilometers per hour, and how high you've climbed. So this is, if you were to do an actual ride on using this, this is the screen you'd have in front of you on your phone, showing you these things. Now, this app, it doesn't automatically upload like my other information automatically uploads to Strava and to Training Peaks. So if you remember, we're using Strava to record the rides, and we're using Training Peaks to create workouts and record efforts and everything else. Although the Strava and the Summit, which is the premium of Strava, now has a lot of those features. The Training Peaks and Strava are getting much closer together. But Training Peaks you can create workouts in, Strava you can't. Training Peaks is a real you know, athlete's tool, and Strava is much more for recording. It's very, very useful, Strava, especially if you train on your own, because obviously all your relative efforts. Now, everything that the app, not everything, obviously not the graphical stuff, but all of the recording elements of the cranks, in terms of your pedal smoothness, your right left effort, your power output, all of that stuff is also joined with the computer. So I see all of that information on my computer as well, and it's recorded on my computer for the rides. So now when we go out training, we're going to have a lot more information. So we're 7 weeks away from France now, getting ready for that. The guys that have been following me, some of you follow me on Strava, you see the difference in the rides we've been doing. We've been doing much more specific training, because having done the ride to Santiago, you know, we know I can ride a long distance. We know that, and we know that our fueling strategy is correct. We've changed. We've got something coming today actually, which is a new product, which I'll talk to you about for racing. So you know, that side of it we know about. So I've been doing a lot more specific training, shorter rides, 1 hour, 2 hour rides, mostly 2 hour, around 2.5 hour, but very specific, training for a certain thing on each one. So training for strength, training for cadence, high RPM, all different elements of training. And now we're using Training Peaks a lot more intensively, and using Training Peaks we are training on a thing called TSS, Training Stress Score. So it's basically, that's the quality of the ride. So if you go out, you could go out and ride for 5 hours just, you know, dawdling around the countryside. Well, that's going to give you a very low TSS, because you've gone out and you've just dawdled around and you haven't done much effort. But because Training Peaks knows all of my levels, you know, what my output is, what my highest output possible is, it knows everything. It knows how hard I'm working all the time. So I can go out just for an hour and actually come back with a very high TSS, because I've worked incredibly intensively, like at 95% or 100%, or one of the workouts I did last week was over 100%, so I actually over what should be my maximum. So I'm working to TSS, and I have an amount of TSS that I need to put in per week. So it doesn't matter how I do that or what type of training I do, but at the end of the week my score needs to be at or above that level. And we're training on TSS all the way up to the race, and as you get to the race, the TSS tapers. It actually tapers off, so that the difference between your fitness and your fatigue, which is actually your form, that number goes up. At the moment it fluctuates up and down. Sometimes I'm a little bit more tired than I am fit, kind of thing, so that number fluctuates up and down. But when we get to the race, we want our form number, which is fitness minus fatigue. We want our form number to be +6 up to +12. If it's that, we're in perfect condition for racing. So we know we can deliver the best we can deliver. We can't deliver what we haven't got, you know. We can't suddenly come up with a load of wattage that we don't possess, but we can deliver what we have. So if we're at +6 to +12 on our form, then we are in a perfect situation for racing. So at the moment I'm working on TSS in these weeks all the way up to the race, and that should deliver me at the race at that 6 to 12 level, which is where we want to be. And obviously being able to measure all of this information that we're measuring now, having this system, is going to be incredibly beneficial, not only for training but also in the race. Because for instance, if I know that I can hold 300 watts for 20 minutes, and I know that there's a climb coming up of 20 minutes, then I'm going to set off at the bottom of that climb at 290 watts, because I know I can hold 290 watts for that whole climb. And anyone who wants to beat me needs to put out more, needs to put out 300 or 310 watts in order to beat me up that climb. So it gives you this knowledge of what can be done, what your body can do. So I mean, if you're riding along and putting out 300 watts, which is your maximum, and somebody comes past you, it's like, see you later, because it's no good chasing that person. If that person can consistently put out 350 watts and you can put out 300 watts, then he's better than you, or she is better than you. So there's no point chasing after that person, because it's ain't going to happen. It may well be that they're putting in some kind of what we call burning matches, so they're putting in an effort that is above what they can sustain. And so you sustain your effort of 290 or 250 or whatever your wattage is. You sustain that effort up the hill, and then you come over the top, and then you carry on with the ride. And maybe they're burning matches, maybe they're above their threshold and they can't sustain that, and later on in the day you'll catch them because they've used up all their energy. So it tells you what you can do, and it tells you the reality of what you can put out during the race. So you can stay at just under or at that limit all the time. Alright guys, well I hope that was interesting. I know it's not interesting for everybody, but I know Damo was very interested in how this system worked and everything. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to go out on a ride now. This is going to be the first ride that I do on this system. I'm going to stop off and show you the app, how the app's recording what's happening. So every now and then I'll stop off and just show you that. And what else was I going to say? Oh yeah, I need 10 hours now. I need to ride this for 10 hours for my legs to get used to this system. My legs have got to get used to this ovalized ring system, and also using the app, we may have to adjust the position of that ring on the spline in order to get the maximum for my legs, in order to be the most efficient for my legs. So it may well be that during that 10 hours we have to demount that ring and remount it in order to maximise the power. So that's it guys. Hope everyone's doing well. I hope that was interesting for everybody. I have made another video. I've got to put a voiceover over it, so I'll do that and I'll get that up as well. So you'll probably get 2 or 3 videos coming up at the same time, as usual, with me. Alright guys, speak to you all soon. Bye for now. Okay guys, well, having a nice ride. But having a bit of problems with making the power meter connect to the computer at the moment. It's connecting to the iPad. You see everything on the iPad. And that's connecting with Bluetooth. Which is fine. But we we are then, guys. So that fixed it. I connected the iPad to the bottom bracket by Bluetooth and had a look at it, and then reconnected it to the computer, and it's working perfectly now. So I've got all my numbers coming up, which is great. So I've just ridden from Aladana. We were just outside Aladana when I stopped. Just ridden up the other side, and I think you'll agree we've got some pretty spectacular views out over the plains from up here. So if you could see through the olive tree here that's right by me, that would be looking towards Malaga. Across there at the bottom of the hill would be Alarin de la Torre. Straight in front of us, in the mist at the bottom of that big hill, that's the Mijas hill. On top of that hill is La Bola that I cycle up to. The climb up to La Bola, that's on top of that big hill you can see in the distance. And at the bottom of that hill here is Alarin El Grande. And then if we could see across the top of those hills just the other side of where the hay has been harvested, that would be Coin, just over there. And then looking across in this direction, we're looking across towards Monda. And on the other side of the high mountains, you can see in the distance, is Marbella. That's the coast. So the coast actually goes all the way around us here. If you were, we're kind of 20 minutes from the coast in any direction. So all the way around here goes to the coast. On the other side of that big hill, you can see in the distance, that's Mijas on the other side of there. Mijas Costa. So we're 20 minutes from the sea all the way around. Nice up here today. It's not too hot at the moment. It's 10:15. Hot enough. I mean, I'm sweating, but there's a breeze and it's not too hot. So now what I do is I ride along this trail here, go along here out to the road, down the road, and then I get onto the trail. I don't know if you can see it. Down in the bottom here is a stream. There's some greenery down in the bottom. You can see a stream, and then if you look just up the top of that next field, there's a track. The track's going up this side of the olive plantation. You can't see my finger. Yeah. So going up this side of the olive plantation and up and over the top of the hill, and that goes pretty much back to my house. So I'm going to take that track back and do another little loop, and we'll be back. So a successful first test today of the new cranks. I'll have been riding for a couple of hours by the time I get home. Hasn't been really strenuous, but it's been a good test, and I've been able to see exactly what the effort I'm putting out when I get on the climbs and stuff. So you can see in real time what you're doing. So surprisingly, I mean, just coming out of Aladana there and coming across here, my maximum power was nearly 600 watts on one of the little climbs. So you really see what you've been doing. When we get back, I'll talk you through the screens I've got on the computer, because I've adjusted those to accommodate this information that we're receiving now. So I've got various different screens that I go into for different things. I've got like a race screen, which is just my overall screen, and then I've got a climbing screen, and I've got a power screen. Just all more specific stuff, giving me more specific information depending on what I'm doing. So if I'm training or if I'm racing. So I'll talk you through those, and then we'll have had a successful first day with the new equipment on the bike. As I say, we've got 7 weeks to go now to the French race, and then next year I've signed up for 2 races. I'm racing in Morocco and I'm racing in Switzerland. So the Morocco race is in the desert. It's called the Titan Desert Race, and I'm racing in that, and then that's at the end of April. And then I'm racing in the Swiss Epic, which is in September next year. So this year we're obviously getting ready for the French race. That's the big one for me this year. And then we will perhaps taper off a little bit. We'll be just doing local races and that over the winter. Still training, but not training really specifically, just building up our strength and fitness on the way through. And then I'll start to train really specifically in the new year for this first race, which is the Moroccan race, Titan. So I'll talk to you more about that in another video. Right guys, so I'll run you through the computer when we get home, and hope you will have enjoyed this video. A little bit of information about how we're doing and how we're getting on with the bike, changing the bike a little bit. It's all a progression. Up until now there's not been any point in me having this stuff because I haven't been strong enough and fit enough to use it properly. When you first start, all you need to do is get out on your bike and ride your bike and build up your strength, you know, and that's the most important thing. So build up your strength and build up your endurance. But once you get to a certain point, then you can start to train more specifically, and you should start to train more specifically. So that's what we're starting to do now, and that's why it's relevant to have this equipment. And I'm fortunate that this has just become available. I was going to buy the older model, and then of course I'd have had the older model now, and this new one would have just come out, and I'd have been upset about that. So I'm pleased to have the very latest one. And then using that software I showed you earlier, we can optimise the ring position for my legs. So that will be interesting. Alright guys, I will speak to you all very soon. Bye for now. So this is my competition screen, where we have my heart rate, the cadence, ride time, etc. This is my climbing screen, where you can see the grade, the meters climbed, the elevation, and also in that graph at the bottom you'll have a map. Then here's my route screen, following a predetermined route with my cadence and my beats per minute at the top. This is my segments, so if I've got any segments coming up that I am trying to beat a time on, then they will appear here, and it works automatically. And then this is my power screen, normalized power, average cadence, average heart rate. And then this is a power screen, watts at the top, left to right power percentage, watts per kilograms, and my maximum watts.